How you doing, everybody? It's Monday the 15th of February 2010 and it's around lunchtime. I meant to make a posting yesterday. I didn't get a chance. I had to go off do a family thing. I didn't get back until very late. Apologies, okay? So I'm just obviously going to try and make it today. I want to talk about a couple of things, but before I do, I just want to thank everybody for responding. All the people that made the comments, some of them were brilliant. There's a lot of time, a lot of effort put into it. I really appreciate it, and I want to thank the new subscribers, okay? But in particular, I want to thank the people that made the comments. Some of them were really fantastic, and it opened up the whole debate on that whole issue that I raised. I didn't raise it, I just threw a couple of spanners into the works with it, you know, about where did the money go. And if you want to have a wee look at it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just have a look. If you want to have a look at it, it's the last posting I put up. So as I say, thank you very much to everybody. Okay, I want to talk. The initial thing that I want to talk about is a sort of kind of like what we discussed about where did the money go and all. It's a kind of a preamble to this because it gives you sort of a run up into this. Because me being the total cynic that I am, once I hear the good and the mighty are behind something, once I hear that all the leading politicians of the Western world, all these mass murderers, alright, once I hear all these boys like this are all behind these notions of global warming, then my antennae go up and I write down in my little mental notebook, it's a con, it's a fraud. Okay? And this is based on a very, very simple notion. It's based first primarily on my cynicism, but secondarily on the way I see the world working. The way the world works is constantly at the top are the real pigs of the world, the super elite, and they're always looking for scams and cons to work on the rest of the indentured slaves that they have down below them. They're always working on that, especially in Western capitalist society, okay? Because they can get away with it. Couldn't get away with it in the communist society unless the commies, the Central Committee, are involved in it. If they're involved in it, it's okay. You know, that's okay. But if you're a businessman and you're involved in it over there, and they don't like you, or they're not getting a big cut of it, so I suppose it's the same here. I suppose it's the same for the government here in the Western society. But anyway, the bottom line about it is they want to work a con, and it's very, very simple. There was this lowly science about 20 or 30 years ago, 40 years ago, called climatology. Nobody was funding it. Nobody was doing anything. Then some whiz kids up at the top of the pyramid, they give advice to these muppets that are up there. Because a lot of these muppets, a lot of these guys that are up there, these elite guys, they have no intelligence at all. I told you, all the intelligence, generally speaking, within society, generally speaking, comes out of the middle classes. That's generally where it comes from. These are all the intellectuals and all the teachers and all them daydreaming people. Okay, they're all the people, generally speaking, come up with the ideas because nothing else to do. That's all they do all day, waffle and spin all that stuff over in their head. Anyway, all part of them do it and get away with it. But this climatology existed, and all of a sudden notions started to germinate up at the top. There was a load of money to be made out of it. First of all, you can introduce things called carbon tax on this thing, so that once there's big money on the go, that boing started to ring the bells. Then on top of that, it had a political aspect, because what happened was it shifted an onus away from the West and into India and developing countries like in China and the Far East about developing their industrial power and their whole what do you call it, industrial base. So it had a load of ramifications, and there was big money to be made out of it. Ooh, that sounds just the sort of stuff we get involved in. Brilliant. How do we start this? Well, what you do is you go and you get a load of professors and you give them a couple of bob. It's nothing, you give them $500,000 here and whatever, and they start up these programs and they research them. But you pay them and they're going to you tell them what you want to find before you start it. We'd like to find this. Is that how it's done? Yeah, that's how it's done. Hey, you just hint at it. You don't have to put a gun to their head, a 38 to their head. You're paying their wages. You're going to be paying their wages. Instead of being a lowly professor, they're now on a secondment to a mighty multinational. Or they're getting a big government friggin' grant which is funded by the multinational. Of course. Of course. Of course. All of a sudden, this little lowly professor, he's no lowly professor anymore. All this peer review shit. You know that stuff? Peer review stuff. Do you know that? That all comes into vogue. The lowly professor thinks he's Einstein. Or Enrico Fermi or somebody. He's getting nominations for Nobels and all the rest. Oh, my goodness. I was reading this article in the Daily Mail today about this Professor Jones in England. It's not his name. Sorry, just hold on and see what his name is. Yeah, Phil Jones from East Anglia. I was reading that. See all about it. What a scenario. What a joke. What a fucking joke. We're all going to be taxing in this. There's going to be trillions to be made out of this. Trillions to be made out of this. This runs along parallel with the oil, all that whole business. What do you call it? The tipping point for oil. It's all. What a scenario. I'll tell you. Like, I grew up as a boy in Belfast, and we have a great expression there, and it tells you about the people that run society. They would tell you horse balls were lemons, horse testicles were lemons, and black crows were white. And that's what it is with this. Have a look at this. Have a look at this. Anyway. I don't want to go on about it. I'll lose my temper again, and then everybody will have a good laugh. Don't want that to happen. I mustn't lose my temper. That's what it says up here. Look, I'm not going to show you, but I have a big notice up there behind that little webcam. It says, do not lose your temper. Anyway, the final thing I want to talk about is a much more serious matter. And it's an article out of Reuters. So I'll put the link up there and you'll have a look at it there. And it's to do with this woman, Hillary Clinton. And she's at a thing called the US Islamic World Forum Conference. Okay. And it's today's Reuters, and I'm just going to quote you here what it says about her. I'll put the link up. I can have a look at it. I'd like to figure out a way to handle it as peaceful. She's talking about Iran, by the way, and them developing enriched plutonium or whatever it is they're developing. I would like to figure out a way to handle it in as peaceful an approach as possible, and I certainly welcome any meaningful engagement, but we don't want to be engaging while they are building their bomb, Mrs. Clinton said at the US Islamic World Forum Conference. So these would all be Arab toadies that they have in tow. These would all be like them Saudi princes and all the rest of that down there, right? That's what's going on down there. So she's down there to suss out everything and get an odd arms deal done in the background and all. Well, that's all getting done, you know what I mean? Would you like to buy our latest stealth fighter, by the way? Or whatever they're selling, whatever we have to sell. It'll only cost you 50 billion or whatever. So while that's going on, she's promoting this idea. So the Iran monitor, I'm going to build an Iran monitor and we're going to put it up here every week, and it'll go from peace, total peace, up to war. We put it at about 10 increments, okay? And I think it's at about 5 now, 4 or 5. But it's going that away. It's going up. It ain't going that away. It's going that away. So I'll have to make that up, and then we look at it every couple of days, okay? We'll call it. We'll have to come up with a name for it. Maybe somebody can come up with a name for it. It's the Iran indicator, the Iran war indicator, okay? Anyway, we'll talk more. Good luck, everybody.